Well, welcome back to the Fresh Start. We are so excited right now to be chatting with a guy that I absolutely love whenever we've caught up with him in the past. Usually it's been in the context of a new Hillsong Young and Free album, but he's now out as a solo artist. His name is Aodhán King. He joins us right now. Aodhán, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. It's good to be here with you guys.
Oh, it's great to be chatting with you as well. And look, of course, there in the setup, I did mention, most people would have recognized you originally as a member of Young and Free. You're now out solo and releasing some music on your own. How is that? How is it kind of being a solo artist?
It's different, that's for sure. I mean, got so used to with Young and Free, like having so many people to bounce ideas off. And like, if I don't want to do something, someone else does it. If they don't want to do it, I'll do it. Whereas now it's just me. So I'm doing everything. And honestly, the most indecisive person that's ever lived. And so it's a lot for me, but it's great. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So look, you are out on your own doing some music now. I had wondered what the process is like when you're doing solo music and how different it is to working with a team. Because in one sense, you've got so much more freedom, I imagine, like creative freedom, but at the same time, it's kind of all on you. Is that a lot of pressure?
It is a lot of pressure, I feel like the freedom part of it is always what I think entices people when they talk about doing their own thing. But I've come to realize that having like doing things in a group is amazing because you kind of put these natural borders around your creativity. You've got like you're kind of doing things that you wouldn't normally do because it's someone else's idea, which I think is really helpful. But it's been a challenge, but it's been like a lot of fun. And I think it's given me this moment to be able to figure out who I am, what I sound like, what are the things that I love, and this album that I've been working on really feels like a collection of songs that represent what I've been through, what God's done in me, and so that's exciting.
Yeah. Now, your new stuff has come out, but I have to go back a little bit in time because Aodhán, apparently you moved to the US to record a pop album. Am my sources right there?
I did, yeah. I moved in 2021 to I had this pop album. It was actually a really like wild season. There was like really cool opportunities that came like that were just didn't make sense in the natural. And like I was like, all right, I'm doing it. And I moved, spent probably 2 years doing that, working with like, an amazing team. And just during the process of like deciding how it was going to be released, I was like, I don't know. I feel like I haven't said all the things I want to say in like the worship space. And like there's a lot of things that went into that, but essentially I just kind of just pivoted. And I still want to do that at some point, but it was what brought me to America. But now I'm kind of like enjoying this creative journey, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. God just pivots with us. Well, God directs our pivots, doesn't he? And one of
Oh my
those
gosh,
songs,
yeah.
yeah, it's great. We can trust him. But one of those songs was about that kind of decision to move to the US or not.
Yes. Yeah. So Without You, which is one of the songs, one of the singles, that was a song that I actually had written for the pop project. It had different lyrics, but it was always about God. It was always asking like God to like lead the way, light the way for me. I think, I mentioned before, like I'm a pretty indecisive person and I'm like always asking God for clarity on decisions. That's literally, I feel like if I got to heaven and I asked God like what our conversations look like, every conversation was like me asking him what I should do. And that song really is just a story of that. It's a song about asking God to like light the way before me, to lead me. Like I don't want to go anywhere that He's not. And so that song, I guess, was the bridge between whatever the pop record was and this album now Beyond Us.
Yeah. Now you moved to the US, and obviously, you're this Aussie kid who's grown up here. You've got started out in music here. Did people know who you were through Young and Free? Were you surprised to see how far the music had reached?
I mean, I think that's always been like a really wild part of like being a part of like Hillsong and Young and Free was just like when we would travel, you just see how far the music went. And, I places that I'd never been and people knew the music. And I think in America particularly, like there's definitely like a love for worship music. And so, in a lot of ways, it's opened doors, for all of us to do things that we didn't think we could do. I think worship does that. So yeah, but I think at the same time, like, I think a lot of people listen to Young and Free and they know Young and Free, but they don't know the people in Young and Free particularly. And so it has been like a journey of like I mean, that's why this process has been really great for me. It's like, who am I? Like, who is Aodhán? Like, and I've been trying to work that out. And that's what this record is kind of just me. That it's songs about me working out who I am and like what God has done in me. So yeah.
So it's two songs that you've released, which is Without Him, which was, about that indecisiveness and asking God to light the way. And the other one is Thank You
Yeah.
So Much, Jesus, which is just such a beautiful song. Do you want to share the journey
No, thank you.
around the writing of that one?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for saying that. I love that song. That song was, yeah, I wrote that with a guy called Paul Klein, who's in a band called Laney, which is like an amazing band. But him and I have been friends for many, many years, and we met before he started the band Laney. And we met, I think around 2014. Young and Free had just started. And a friend of mine had been like, "Hey, you should come to America and write with this guy called Paul. He was leading worship in a church at the time." And we were talking about how could we involve this guy maybe in Young and Free at that time. And, it'd be cool to have someone from America who's in the band. So I flew over and met with him. We wrote for a couple of days and it was amazing. And, I loved like his heart for God. But very quickly, like Laney started, I think a couple of months after that. And that kind of just took his life to another dimension in a lot of ways. And so, but over the years, obviously, we remained great friends and always talked about writing a worship song. And the first time that we got together to write a worship song, we wrote Thank You So Much, Jesus. And it was just like, how do we write something that kind of articulates like what we want our lives to look like? How do like we want our life to look like a life of gratitude and thankfulness? And he was so grateful for what God has done in his life, and I'm the same. And it was honestly really simple. I had no intention of having him sing on it or anything. And the day we wrote it, I think we both knew it was really special. But then the next day he called me and he was like, "Man, I like really feel like I want to sing this song with you." And I was like, okay, I mean, if you want to do that, I mean, that'd be amazing. I was never going to ask, but I'm so honored that he's on it because I think it just represents kind of even this period of my life, like so much, like so many, like so much of the reason I'm even doing something is, the encouragement of my friends pushing me and telling me to do it. And he was one of them. And I think that opened up, the record being something that felt collaborative again. The whole record has so many amazing friends featured on the record from all different genres. And, that became intentional because I didn't want to kind of feel like I was doing it on my own. And so that was the first song that kind of was like, okay, this can still feel like I'm in a band in some ways.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned
Yeah.
that that's collaboration through friendship, but are there any kind of big music artists or small music artists that you're like, man,
Mhm.
that would be the dream collaboration that's on your hit list, even if
Yeah.
it's a pipe dream?
Yeah. I think like I was Bono and Chris Martin from Coldplay, those two, obviously. They're the first. Chris Martin's like would be like my number one for sure.
Yeah.
We'll send him an email and we'll see.
Yeah, please do.
He
Please
listens
do.
to the
Yeah.
show, so that's
Yeah.
I've got a
I
question,
wouldn't be
Aodhán.
surprised.
Yeah, I've got a question. If you could go back, because original member of Young and Free, late teens, if you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
It's a really good question. I think I would say just like be present and enjoy it and not overthink things. I think that like I look back and there's so many of those times in Young and Free, it was like high stakes, a lot of pressure. And I remember feeling like the weight of that a lot of times, like in a good way. But I look back going, man, that was some of the best times of my life. I wish I was more present in those times. That would be my one piece of advice.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Now
Yeah.
you're over in the US. Is that a more permanent thing for you at the moment, or are you just there for a little bit?
Well, if my mum and dad are listening to this, no, it's not a permanent thing. No, Australia's home. All my family, I love Australia. Like I think about Australia every day. Like for me, I don't know what this season looks like. I think I'm just kind of, I made the decision to be here. I'm going to commit to that for now. But it feels sad to say that I would never go back to Australia because Australia's home.
And what do you miss most about Aussie?
Oh, everything. The food, the people, the weather, the beaches.
Why are you
Australia's the
even there
best.
then? That's
I know. I say that to myself all the time. No, it's I don't know. I try to get back at least 2, 3 times a year. That's like if I can do that over the summer as well, then I feel good.
Yeah. Cool. And look, we're excited. We want people to go and check out your new songs. Of course, you can hear them right here on Rima 99.7 as well, but check them out online wherever you listen to your music. But Aodhán, what's on the horizon? What can we be looking out for in the future?
Well, this record comes out on the 18th, so this Friday, which is really exciting. And then I don't know, more music. That's, I guess now this I've opened the door to doing my own thing. People can look forward to just more music. That's kind of the goal.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. We've been chatting with Aodhán King, and check out his solo work out now, and of course his new album dropping too. Wherever, go and pre-save it now and listen to it wherever you
Yeah.
listen to your music. And of course, listen out to the singles right here on Rima 99.7. Aodhán, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. Loved it.